My name is Gherkin Janals. I grew up in Hugumpo. I've always been a part of Hugumpo, and Hugumpo has truly been a part of me, you know? And, well, can you clear that, please?
We know you're all watching because there's no one else.
This is it. Yeah, Hugumpo was relying on us. Jerry Seinfeld sued us.
Jerry Seinfeld didn't know his middle name. Jerry Seinfeld's blood is on the floor of our studio.
Greg the skateboard sued us. With your hots left. Too much money funneling, and we were struggling, and we had something big, we had something great, and it fell apart. It's like sand, the sand of times running through our little fingertips, dripping and flowing downwards, and we lost it.
Cancelled?
So me and With Your Hots actually met. I was going to a friend's apartment one night, and he said, "Come right on in, door will be open, someone's gonna be there." I was like, "Oh, that's cool, that's cool." I didn't know who it was. And then I walk on in, and there's a guy there, and I walk around the corner, and I see there's a big poo on the ground, and I say to myself, has this man, who, is clearly squatted over this poo, just done a big poo on the ground? I didn't know him, so I go to him, "Did you just do that big poo on the ground?" And he looks at me dead in the eyes. And he says, "No, that's not my big poo." And I say, you were just squatted over this big poo that is on the ground, clearly fresh, Yeah, no, that was With Your Hots for you, A guy who wasn't afraid to do a big stinky poo on the ground, and for no particular reason. He could have definitely made it to the toilet. In fact, he had enough time to get undressed completely naked and then do the poo. He definitely could have made it to the toilet, but he was just that kind of guy. Yeah, after that first encounter, we got to talking. I mean, he got changed and, wiped his bum first, but we got to talking, and we both had the same thought about Hugumpo, which was, what's happening? What's happening in Hugumpo? There's no news. There's no one talking about all the little strange things that's happening in Hugumpo. There's there's lots to talk about. I think it truly came to fruition one night. We both took out bank loans, and we knew that the show was going to be successful. It was the only news source in Hugumpo, so, people had to watch. People had to see what was going on, and there was definitely a call for news to be told in Hugumpo. So we weren't afraid. The bank said, "Great idea." There was no issue there. And then the first incident we really had was Jerry Seinfeld. Of course, his contract was already a lot of money. People ask all the time, how did you get Jerry Seinfeld on the show? Had Jerry Seinfeld this, Jerry Seinfeld that? You know, when I say, honestly, it wasn't that hard. You know? If the B movie could get Jerry Seinfeld, you know, Hugumpo News could get Jerry Seinfeld. You know, it's a no-brainer, you know? You know, after that show aired, that episode, you know, Whiffier pulled me aside and he said, "You can't just go around beating up Seinfelds." You know, at first I was confused because I thought he meant Seinfeld, like as in one Jerry, but then Barry came onto the show and that was a whole other mess of beans. And then the second incident, which, you know, thankfully wasn't me this time, it was Whiffier, you know, Whiffier, and if anything, you know, almost killing Jerry Seinfeld apparently isn't nearly as bad as slapping a skateboard's titty, you know? Especially such a famous skateboard in Greg, who, you know, after that we could no longer work with big names. Of course, we almost had Brie Larson on that show at one point. That fell through. You know, a lot of people said, "You didn't almost get Brie Larson." And I said, "We mostly did." You know? I mean, it was just a Zoom call with someone who may or may not have been impersonating Brie Larson, but it, you know, it was close. The bank started to get a little bit concerned. You know, we had just spent a lot of our money on Jerry Seinfeld, and then he sued us for legal reasons. I can't disclose how much. You know, the banks started to really chase us down for that money, and we simply, you know, we just didn't have it. You know, and then the question started to rise, like, where were you filming the show? You know, if you spent most of the money on Jerry Seinfeld and on getting Greg and on hiring an impersonator of Brie Larson, where were you filming and what was the table? And, you know, the simple and short answer of that is we were filming right here. A shared apartment that now I live in alone because Whiffier has left and he doesn't return my emails. The table was simply built from scraps that I found in a junkyard, you know. There was a family of rats living in it. I broke it up, you know, saved the rats, of course. Put all the scrap wood in my car. I built the table myself, you know. Yeah, that was the show, you know. A lot of the money down the drain. How can I rekindle what we had, you know, what Hugumpo had? The incident, you know, the thing that truly ended us. The big one.
My name's Janine. You may have heard of me from the news. I was on the news, cause I found out I had too much blood. They said, "Janine, you got too much blood." So I took it, I went to the hospital, they took it out, and I said, "Lord, I still feel full." So they just kept taking and taking and taking and taking and taking. And I just said, "Take it all." Little kitties, little babies need it. The babies need it. Turns out I flooded the hospital. I didn't mean to flood the hospital. I was on the news with your, call me names, but I was doing the right thing. Well, it all turned to poo-poo after that.
So, my name is Clayrog. I'm an alien god, and my official job title, I guess, would be Devourer of Time and Space. So, one day I was out in the, cosmos, and I came across Earth, and I was like, sweet, new planet, great. Saw this little town called Hugumpo, and I purely picked it, because this one lady, Janine, had a lot of blood already in, like, major access. So I separated Hugumpo from the rest of time and space, so it's in its own little, slit of time, and I used Janine's blood to create my demon army, so my blood demons, you know, so all is sweet in my world.
So out there is the edge of Hugumpo. We don't go out beyond those ridges, as you will more than likely fall off into the void of darkness and despair. So we tend to stay within the barrier. So really, here is about where you'd want to stop and out there, you don't really want to go because that's where the blood demons generally hang out. So in here is good. In here is good. You know, I guess you never really think of your town that you grew up in as one day being conquered by an alien god, Clayrog, and taken to a completely separate time and space compared to everything else, you know? I guess we're our own realm now, but, you know, you never think of it. And I truly believe, though it was, you know, devastating, and now we have blood demons consistently coming after people, maybe it was for the better. Maybe this could give myself and With Your Heart something more to talk about, you know? More is happening, clearly. So this could be our second chance. It's what destroyed us, but it could be what brings us back together.